What's up guys, this is Andrew, and today we're going to be comparing the flagship earbuds from Bose and Sony. They are the Bose QuietComfort earbuds over here, and the Sony WF-1000XM4, I believe that was right. The naming scheme on these is terrible, so we're just going to refer to these as the Sonys for the rest of the video. And yeah, let's get into it. The Bose QuietComfort earbuds have been on sale for around a year now, and the Sonys came out around the midpoint of 2021. Both earbuds are priced right at $280, maybe $279, $278, and so basically they're priced to compete directly with each other. I've seen the Bose go on a flash sale for $199, but that was only a couple of days, and usually they are still priced either $250 or the full $280. I assume with the upcoming holiday season, both of these will see some sales, especially the Bose, but for now we're going to compare them as if they're both $280, which is what they are at the time of this filming. Given the similar price point, these earbuds are perfect to compare, and so we'll be taking a look at both of them and hopefully helping you figure out which one is right for you. Starting off with the cases of these earbuds, if you know anything about the Bose QuietComfort, then you know this case is huge. When you compare it to the Sony's, it's not even close. The Bose case is just massive compared to it, and really it's one of the biggest cases I think I've ever used. I think it was larger than the original Amazon Echo Buds, which really had a tremendous case. But compared to most of their flagships, whether it's the AirPods, Galaxy Buds Pros, the Bose really stands out as being just a massive case. And where the Sony case, it's not the smallest case. There are definitely other cases smaller. My Jabra case is a little smaller than this. The Galaxy Buds Pro I think is more pocketable. This will fit into your pocket much easier than this. The Bose QuietComfort earbuds are really annoying to carry around unless they're in a jacket pocket or in a backpack. So if you're planning on keeping your earbuds in your pocket, this is something you really got to take into consideration. These are huge, and it will not be easy with your phone or your wallet to have these in the same pocket. Moving on to battery life, the Sonys have 8 hours on a single charge with ANC on. And if you turn off ANC, you can actually get 12 hours out of a single charge. I think in real life tests you'll probably get a little less than this, but it's still an astounding amount of the battery life. And you get a couple extra charges with the case, so depending on whether you're using ANC or if you're switching it off, you're going to get between 24 and 36 hours of battery life on these, which is pretty crazy. The Bose, on the other hand, they give you 6 hours per charge, which is still pretty good, but with the case, you only get an extra 2 charges, despite how large the case is, for a total of 18 hours of battery life. And I believe ANC always has to be on, or if it's not on, it's on transparency mode, so you don't actually get any battery savings from turning off ANC. So this maximum 18 hours with the case, whereas this is 24 to 36. I think a big part of this has to do with the fact that the Sonys are the newer earbuds out of the two of them, and that battery technology really has came pretty far, in terms of earbuds at least, in the last few years. Most earbuds were only 4 or 5 hours of charge with no ANC just a couple of years ago, and so the Bose were pretty good when they first came out, but compared to the Sonys, there really just isn't any comparison. The Sonys win this one. Moving on to the size and fit of the earbuds, we'll start with the Bose, and they are pretty large earbuds. They do stick out of your ears a little bit, but it doesn't really matter too much to me. A lot of earbuds are not that stealthy. Most of them really, I would say, aren't. And you can always tell when someone's wearing them, so it doesn't really make a big deal. It's not a big deal to me that these are larger than some other earbuds. It might be to you, but that's going to be very personal. Regarding the actual style, these are actually, I think they're attractive looking earbuds, but they're also very comfortable. The wingtip design works very well here, and I've used these for very long periods of time. I've used them on an international flight, and I had them in for hours at a time. I would take them out for a few hours and put them back in, and I'd wear them for hours straight at various different times, and I never had any aching, where plenty of other earbuds I've used, almost all of them that I've used aside from these, will ache if I leave them in for 3 or 4 hours, or sometimes even just continuous use. A few hours one day, a few hours the next day, and I keep going. By the third or fourth day, my ears are kind of aching and saying, okay, you probably don't want these in your ears every 4 hours a day. But the Bose QuietComfort, I gotta say, are the most comfortable earbuds I have ever used. That's not to say that the Sonys aren't comfortable. I think the Sonys are pretty comfortable as far as earbuds go, and I've definitely used other earbuds that were more uncomfortable than these. These I can usually use for a few hours, throughout the day. A lot of times in my day, I'm putting them in for like 30 minutes and taking them out. I usually don't leave them in for more than 3 or 4 hours. That would probably likely just be at a longer travel event, which wouldn't happen too often for me. So that's going to depend on you, but for me, these are pretty comfortable. I would say they're on the more comfortable side, but probably not as comfortable as the Bose. And I have felt a little achy using them on occasion, but a lot of times I think that's because I don't actually get the same seal as I should every time. Sometimes I think I just have them at the wrong angle, but I am subject to ear fatigue with these, just in terms of overall comfort. So if you're looking for the most comfortable earbuds, I gotta go with the Bose QuietComfort on this one. That being said, the Sonys actually give me a much better seal when they're in my ears. So for that reason, they work out a lot better for me personally in terms of blocking out noise and their ANC. And I'm not saying the ANC on the Sonys is better than the Bose ANC. I think it's pretty similar. Most other reviews will say it's pretty similar, but some people will give the edge to the Bose QuietComfort. But for me, just because I'm able to get a better seal with these, I end up getting much better passive noise isolation, but then also better ANC experience or the total noise blocked out. But that's very personal. I've mentioned before in a lot of videos, I must have weird ears, and most earbuds just don't give me a perfect seal. Even these, it's a little tough to get a perfect seal, but I am able to get a pretty good seal most of the time. But I'll link to my actual full review of the Bose QuietComfort earbuds, but that's something I touch on where I just can't get the perfect seal no matter what size wingtip I use. But when I'm using them, a lot of noise gets through passively. As soon as I turn on the ANC, I can tell there's a massive difference on the Bose. It's definitely more noticeable than the difference between these passive versus with ANC on. But for me, just because if you can't get a good seal, you're not going to block as much noise as possible. Even earbuds like the Jabra 75T Actives, which had noise cancellation added in later on through a software update, those block out more noise for me than a lot of different earbuds that have much better ANC, just because I get a perfect seal with the Jabras I use. The seal really will be a person-to-person thing, so I can't guide you in the way of whether the Bose will give you a better seal or the Sonys will. I think for most people, the Sonys will provide a little bit of a better seal, but I know a lot of people get a great seal with the Bose, and that's where they get to experience how great the ANC is. But for me, because I do get a better seal here, and the ANC is pretty similar, I will be using the Sonys as my main travel earbuds going forward. I guess I've never tested them for more than 4 hours straight, but I probably won't have them in my ears for over 4 hours straight. Usually I take a break. Quickly touching on the waterproofing here, I wanted to mention that both of these earbuds are IPX4 rated, which should be fine for any workouts, light splashes, so if you spill something on them, they should be okay. If you're working out, you shouldn't have any issues. Even a little drizzle should be fine. You just don't want to get these submerged. I wanted to bring this up just in case anyone was curious. As a workout enthusiast myself, and someone who likes having that peace of mind, it's a pretty important feature, so I'm glad that both these are IPX4. I believe the original Sonys actually were not IPX rated at all, and that was actually part of the reason I never ended up buying the XM3s. Because I was worried that if I was working out and something happened or they started malfunctioning, Sony could just blame water damage and say they're not IPX rated, no warranty, whatever it is. But now these are IPX4 rated, I feel much better about using them while I'm working out. Having had both of these earbuds for quite a while now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the functionality and some features they have and some things they don't have that actually I feel impacts my day-to-day use and something that's useful for you guys to know. So starting with the Bose, these cannot be used with both earbuds independently of each other. You can't just have the left one, you can't just have the right one in, whatever you want. A lot of times it's something I used to do with wired earbuds. If someone started talking from the left side, I'm going to pull that one out. Someone talks to you from the right side, pull that one out. But with these, I think only one of them comes out, only one can be used independently. So if you try and take out the other, your music just stops. And you can't turn it back on, and there's like a little loophole where if you leave it out of the case and you do some other stuff and you click it, don't want to get into that. These cannot be used independently, and that's a pretty big thing to me. I like being able to have each earbud independent of each other. The Sonys can be used whichever one you want, and so that's a big plus for me here. It's something I've complained about in a lot of other videos whenever earbuds don't have it, because I do think, I know it's difficult, but a lot of earbuds now are starting to have it, and I think it's a great feature to have. Another thing functionality-wise I wanted to talk about was the adaptive sound control, I believe Sony's calling it, of these earbuds, where depending on your location or your surroundings, they kind of adjust the sound, not the sound profile, but how they're treating the ambient noise around you. And so the issue with me for that was really that it goes on, it's pretty sensitive, which means it's good at detecting when you're changing scenery, but at the same time, for me, it was just going off like crazy whenever I would go from my garage to just out of my driveway. I work out in my garage, so a lot of times when I'm kind of like pacing around or just stretching out, I kind of go in between my garage and my driveway, like in and out. And so every time I'd walk out, I get a little notification that that feature was on and that it adjusted something. And then when I come back in, it goes off and the notification goes on again. And as I'm kind of, walking in a circle or doing whatever I'm doing, it just keeps going off, and it was a pretty frustrating feature. So I ended up just turning it off, so you could just turn it off if it bothers you. It's not a huge deal since I can't turn it off. but it is a feature they have that works well in theory, but for me it just was always kind of an annoyance. Moving on to the sound of these earbuds, we'll start with the Bose, and the Bose can really be described as having a more mainstream consumer sound, and that is to say they sound very similar to a lot of other Bose products. If you had an older Bose product and you liked the sound experience, you'll probably like these a lot. It's not to say they're bad, but the bass is fairly over-exaggerated, and then I would say the treble and the upper mids are over-amplified, and the sound just isn't, it's very far from neutral. Most consumer earbuds or headphones are pretty far from neutral, and but this is just a little step further than I would like. In contrast, the Sonys have a much cleaner sound, and while they're not neutral, everything is just not as exaggerated in terms of like the bass is not as exaggerated as it is on the Bose. The treble's more tame, and where the bass is still very, it's present, and it's but I think it's a good amount of bass. It's not overwhelming, it's not muddy. I think it's just right on these, and then the upper mids or the highs on these, just great clarity. The instrument separation's pretty good here, and vocals really shine. They have a good presence, and I'm someone where that's what I really look for. I like, especially with some songs that have very strong female vocals, I like hearing that presence and kind of letting those vocals take the forefront. While talking about the sound, it's probably a good time to bring up the EQ apps for both of these earbuds. And the Sony's EQ app, honestly, their app in general just has a lot more features than the Bose app, but their EQ has a lot of different options and gives users a lot more flexibility than I'm used to seeing in consumer earbuds. And there's a lot of different presets you can select as well. I played with some of them. I can't tell the difference. They don't change the earbuds too much. Obviously, they do change the sound a little bit. I usually just leave them as default, but it was fun to play around and kind of see what they had available and to kind of test how it did affect the music. There were some songs that were a lot more fun with some of the presets on here, but just because I don't want to be changing the preset every time I listen to a different genre or different song, I would get lost in that, so I usually just leave them the same. But I know a lot of people do like changing the EQ for their earbuds or their actual headphones, and that's something that the Bose actually didn't have when they first came out. They actually just updated them, I believe, in the last month. So after being out for almost a year, the Bose finally got an update, that way they have an EQ system in their app. However, it is still very limited compared to the Sonys. There's a lot more areas to optimize for your preferences in the Sonys, whereas the Bose, it's pretty limited, but it is nice that now there's at least a little bit you can do. If you did think the bass was too much, you can tone it down a bit, but it's not going to make a huge difference, and it's not as flexible as the Sonys. Wrapping up this video, it's safe to say that I have a new favorite pair of ANC earbuds, and those are the Sonys. The battery life is much better, the case is much smaller, and I think the sound quality is a lot better. Those are very important factors to me, and definitely ones I put a high importance on, and so that's what leads the Sonys to be my personal pick. The Bose do have superior comfort, and for a lot of people, they will have superior ANC, but not for me because I don't have that fantastic seal. With the portability being a very key factor, these will be replacing the Bose for me when it comes to being a travel earbud or even just a daily use. So for me, they both have strong suits, but the Sony has a lot more than the Bose, and for most people, I think the Sony XM4s will be the better choice for you. Alright everyone, thanks for sticking around for this point in the video, and please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content related to wireless earbuds or headphones or amplifiers, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. Really appreciate it, and have a great day.